So the US government continues their crusade against crypto, with the latest story being that they have banned BUSD. Yes, Binance USD, the stablecoin, has been banned and they've been ordered to stop issuing BUSD tokens. What is going on? The US government are meaning business, and the latest news after the couple of days ago, we had the Kraken fine and the banning of staking over in the US. Now, the New York Department of Financial Services has ordered blockchain company Paxos to stop the issuance of dollar-pegged BUSD. For those who aren't familiar, BUSD is the third largest stablecoin. You can see here in the market cap, we are sitting at $16 billion of BUSD on the market right now. The majority of these Binance USD tokens are held by Binance, almost 14.4 billion of that supply, so about 90% of that supply is sat with Binance, and this is a serious problem. So the New York regulators' actions come shortly after the US SEC issued a Wells notice on Paxos. I'm going to come on to what a Wells notice is, but in short, it's basically deeming them an unregistered securities. A lot of you will be familiar in the crypto space with the Wells notice because this will serve to Ripple, right, with the whole XRP situation that's going on. The NYDFS has reportedly asked Paxos to stop creating more of its BUSD token. We're going to get into CZ's response as well because he's tweeted out, and I'm going to get into the ramifications of this because right now, straight away, early reactions here in the market, you can see that Binance BNB coin is falling. Even though BUSD is a stable coin, you can see the ramifications this is having because this is being seen as a direct attack on Binance as well, right? A lot of people are saying this is the US's way of getting at Binance because they can't directly go after Binance because the jurisdiction is not in the US apart from Binance.US, right? So maybe they're trying to do it by attacking the staple that is their stable coin. Now, there's also a risk I need to come on to, which is the Binance peg tokens. So make sure you stay tuned for that because that gets a little bit confusing, but it could be a concern. So let's make sure we understand what is going on here. Generally, if an investment of money is made in a business with the expectation of a profit to come through the efforts of someone other than the investor, it is considered a security. We're going to come on to this. This is something called a Howey test, which I'm going to break down. But before we do that, let's go into what CZ had to say. So CZ weighed in here just a little while ago. In summary, BUSD is issued and redeemed by Paxos and funds are safe, okay? We were informed by Paxos they have been directed to cease minting new BUSD by the NYDFS. Paxos is regulated there, right, in New York. Now remember, there are other stable coins, because we're going to come on to what this could mean next. There are other stable coins like Tether, which are not in the US, but USDC, which is issued by Circle, could face the same consequences. So this is going to be a problem. I'm going to come on to what Brian Armstrong had to say as well. BUSD is a stable coin wholly owned and managed by Paxos. Now this is true, but it doesn't mean that Paxos are responsible for the Binance pegged version, which I'm going to come on to. Loads to get through, guys. As a result, BUSD market cap will only decrease over time. So that 16 billion, they cannot mint anymore. If you want a BUSD token, you can't get one. You can only redeem it and get your dollar back. Paxos will continue to service the product and manage redemptions. Paxos also assured us that funds are safe and fully covered by reserves in their banks, with their reserves audited many times by various audit firms. Now, I actually believe this, right? Because they're in the US, because they're heavily audited, I believe Paxos won't have an issue here where we see a bank run on the Paxos leading to a shortage of supply. I feel like they are one-to-one backed. I think the market's quite confident that they're one-to-one backed, but they're not so confident that Binance are one-to-one backed, because if you come onto Binance here, you can see these are what are called Binance peg tokens. I spoke about this before in my video on Binance. I'll link that up for you guys here, but basically when bridging to the Binance chain, they create a wrap token, which is a BUSD. So if you put your BUSD here, the Paxos issued one, they wrap it and give you a Binance pegged version of BUSD. Now, who is to say that they actually have this full 5.4 billion in proof of assets? They say they have, but remember, I've covered this off before. The auditing has been very, very poor by Binance. The proof of reserves auditing has been very, very poor. Mazars, which was the firm they asked to do the proof of reserves, to do it as a agreed upon principles, which wasn't a full audit, by the way, they stopped doing crypto work. So it was all odd. There's a bunch of concerns around there, and this is the bit that doesn't sit in the US. Therefore, there's no clarity on what is going on here. This doesn't give me confidence that it's all sat there waiting, right? I mean, there could be more stuff going on than meets the eye here in terms of the 5.4 billion that has been wrapped. Very important that we understand that. On the alleged SEC versus Paxos lawsuit, I have no information about it other than public news article. The lawsuit is between the US SEC and Paxos. I'm not an expert on US laws, but personally, I agree with Miles. So Miles from Crypto Banter, he went and tweeted, look, it's only a stable coin. There's no expectation of profit. Now, this is where things get interesting. So we need to understand what's going on here, because some people will understand that the Howey test, if something meets these four, they are deemed a security and investment contract. So it's an investment of money in a common enterprise, a reasonable expectation of profit derived from the effort of others. If you meet these four, you are deemed a security, an investment contract by the SEC, and you therefore need to follow the rules and regulations of a security. This is a whole argument XRP is going through, and we've also had Brian Armstrong weigh in to say he's going to defend it as well. So Coinbase have released an article saying Coinbase staking services are not securities, and here's why, right? So this is going to go forward, and obviously if BUSD is being claimed to be a security, surely they're going to go after USDC, which is issued by Circle as well, which is a bigger problem because that is the second largest stablecoin with 41 billion, okay? So, almost triple here what we've got in BUSD. So this is going to be an even bigger problem if they go after USDC too. So combined, 41 plus 16 billion, you're close to the size of Tether being, put into deemed as a security over in the USA. The worrying thing is USA is just one jurisdiction. But you need to understand that the USA tends to lead in terms of setting these kind of investment rules. And you do often find that European Commission tend to follow after, and other jurisdictions tend to follow the lead from US. Whether that's because of pressure, whether that's because they actually see it the same way, who knows, right? But that's always a precedent that's set by the US. So it is a reason to be a little bit concerned that the US is taking such a strong stance. Now, my argument is, where were you last year, right? Where were you last year when we had BlockFi, when we had Celsius, when we had all the things going on with Voyager, when we had FTX US included collapse, not just the whole FTX, FTX US under your jurisdiction had issues as well. Where were you? But we can't be surprised, right? We can't be surprised that the SEC has come out guns blazing in 2023. We knew this would be a year of regulation after the horrific practice of 2022, which as a crypto community, right, we have to take responsibility for. It happened under our watch. Whether we put the likes of Do Kwon on a pedestal, whether we put the likes of Alex Mahinsky on a pedestal, whether we allowed these practices to happen, it's partly ownership on us. And when I say us, I'm talking about the centralized exchanges as well. When we accept and put people like CZ or anybody else, Sam Bankman-Fried, on a pedestal, and we don't hold them accountability to give us transparency, this is the kind of issue we start to face. And now you've got the SEC all over this. The Kraken fine of $30 million the other day, now coming out against staking, which obviously can have impact on Coinbase as well, having an impact on stable coins, deeming them a security. This is not fun. We know that they're going after Ethereum as well. This is a problem, right? You've got their backup, and they're going to be all over this like a rash. Now let's go over what a Wells notice is, because a Wells notice is a formal notice from the SEC letting the recipient know that they're planning to bring enforcement actions against them. So it's sent at the end of investigation. So Paxos would have been investigated into potential securities law or regulatory violations, and now they get 30 days to respond, okay? So that's what a Wells notice is, and it normally basically means that the SEC have said, we've done an investigation, we think you're operating as a security and you haven't registered as a security. Now, I guess you could play a little bit of devil's advocate and say, okay, if you're the US, how could you deem that a stablecoin is being invested in for expectations of a profit, right? Does anybody really buy a stablecoin like BUSD hoping it's going to go up by 30-40%? No, but a lot of people could argue that, okay, maybe it's used for staking strategies, maybe, which we know is what they're focused on, right? With the whole Kraken issue and the Ethereum issue, they're worried about this whole staking being treated as a security. And then what about hedging? What about arbitrage, right? These are all things that they could be thinking about are being used through stablecoins to derive a profit. Now, do I believe that? No, I think the US are just cracking down on cryptocurrencies. It's grown too fast, too quickly, and they don't like it. And the reality is they're going to want to bring out their CBDCs, and they're going to want you to on-ramp using the boring digital version of the US dollar. So where could this go from here? Well, there's a few different issues we could be seeing now, and the risk is we're seeing the wider market fall. I will do a separate video later on today with the wider markets and the TA that we normally do. Plus, we'll talk about CPI, so make sure you're subscribed. But so far, you can see Bitcoin is falling falling, recovering a little bit of the dip. I mean, yesterday, when originally this news started coming out, was down 1.2% here. You can see BNB is obviously taking a disproportionate hit here, down 6% on the day, just trying to print a little bit of a green candle now to build some recovery, but this really did fall. I mean, this started falling quite badly over the last couple of days here on BNB. But the bigger risk is going to be, like I explained, is there an issue with the Binance peg tokens? That's the risk number one. We need to find out. I feel like Paxos is back to 1-to-1. I feel like they're audited properly, and hopefully they can meet all their redemptions for all 16 billion. But what happens with this 5 billion or so, issue here? The next issue is, okay, what does this then mean for the likes of Coinbase? We saw what they did with Kraken and staking. Are they going to ban any issues with Coinbase staking? If so, what precedence does that provide? Then we have to look at USDC. If they're going after BUSD, which is US-based by Paxos, are they going to go after USDC, which is issued by Circle? And then, obviously, they would love to go after Tether, but they can't because they're not in the US jurisdiction. So all this brings back into attention the reality that we need to see decentralized stablecoins. Just like we saw that you had an algorithmically backed stablecoin produced by Terra Luna, which ultimately collapsed due to failings and some call it fraud by certain individuals. But one thing we do know is everything is going to drive more to decentralization. When you increase regulation, you increase the movement to decentralized plays. If they're going after centralized staking, people look for decentralized staking. If they're going after centralized stablecoins, people will look for decentralized stablecoins. So immediately, if you look at the stablecoins, don't be surprised to see more running across to Tether, right? Because they're not based in the US. I think a lot of the BUSD and USDC will start moving into Tether. Do not be surprised to see a little bit of pickup in market cap of DAI and Frax. Also worthy of notice is USDP. So remember, there's also a Pax dollar produced by Paxos as well. There's only less than $1 billion here in market cap, but again, if BUSD is deemed a security, what's the rationale to say that this is a security as well, right? So we've got to keep an eye on all this and see how this plays out. All I can hope for is that Paxos has indeed got the 1-to-1 reserves and BUSD peg tokens held over at Binance is properly collateralized as well. Hope you guys enjoyed this update. If you appreciate this quick update on this topic, smash the likes, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.